My name is Margaret Ajibade, the STEM.Positive Disruptor, and today we have the Mayor's conversation with special guest Kunle Adewale, and he's a founder and executive director of at Arts in Medicine Fellowship. He's going to tell us more about it, and basically, it's how he's using technology to as a therapeutic platform to help those in hospital, but also the older generation to be able to communicate. But he's going to explain more on that. The reason why this platform has been set up is basically we want to educate, raise awareness, change people's perception, and demystify what STEM is. That's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But also to bring the public into our domain because basically we want to showcase what we do, how technology is impacting our society. A prime example is what my specialist guest is going to talk about today, health, using it for health purposes to improve mental health, help them through the procedure for any procedures that they're going to go through in the hospital for young people. So it's like a distraction, but he will explain more. My special guest has been around the world. He's used his form of art in so many places like Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, and the USA as well. He's he was also awarded a special day in Cincinnati in America at the 2nd of August because of his work that he's doing with art and how he's using it to help and enable and support people in general. But he's going to talk about it more. So without further ado, welcome, Kunle. Please introduce yourself and what you do and why, why you're using technology in this form to help young people as well as older people as well. Thank you. Cannot hear you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to join you today. It's such a delight. And yeah, my name is Kunle Adewale, and primarily I'm a visual artist, but beyond that, I'm a humanitarian artist. And then I explore different mediums to engage members of my community in Nigeria and people across the world. I facilitate creative engagement in hospices, in health centers, in hospitals, in community, in displaced camps, different places where health and well-being can actually take place using engagement. Before I started using technology to support the population I'm working with recently, over time, we've done a lot of engagement with music, hosting music concerts in psychiatric hospital where we take music to patients, to caregivers, to carers, to see how art can really promote social engagement between the person that is being served and the person that is serving, right? So in a way that's using art forms to build positive relationship in this space or in these spaces. And we've done a lot of programs for art installations, art exhibition, and just a whole lot of engagement happening. But one of the things that I realize as an artist is the power of technology in creating bringing innovation into our having music concert, bringing in the orchestra into the hospital. We realize that actually music can actually happen in the headset in a way that is now more personalized for the user or personalized for the beneficiaries of our engagement, right? So that's when we started introducing the virtual reality into our engagement in a way that participants can get to watch their favorite musicians, can get to sing and dance along with their favorite musicians, can also have the opportunity to travel to their favorite destinations in the world, regardless of their economic status in a way. And what I see is digital access or digital equity in a way that for the undeserved, for the vulnerable population, how do we promote equity? I mean, for people who cannot afford, for people who do not have access, for people who do not have the resources, how do we create an inclusive world by using technology to create an enabling environment, a learning and creative and therapeutic opportunities for other people? So for me, this is very, very crucial and very, very important. I lost my mom about 11 years ago. And then, so I imagine that some of the things I'm doing today, I wish actually my parents could benefit from it. So oftentimes when I visit some of these homes, who I see my parents in those people, these elderly people from 60 to 70 to 80 to 90, promoting engagement and social interaction in this room, in these spaces, finding ways that people can just look away from their health condition, from the stroke or from dementia, memory loss, or any form of cognitive impairment they have, or rather being in the present, being present in the present and enjoying life, whether through engagement in meditation or in mindfulness in a way that it really helps them to feel good about themselves, who they are. I've seen how some of them really like laugh, at jokes, like just watching their favorite comedians. Like
Yeah.
it's just amazing to see how through technology we're bringing in cinema to or taking cinema to the home for the elderly without them actually leaving the home.
Yeah.
Now they can actually watch movies and enjoy life. It's just something I count as a privilege and I see it as relevant to promoting the mental health and the brain health of the aging population. There's so much loneliness when it comes to
Yeah.
the elderly in Nigeria. There's so much depression. And
Mm.
then I've seen different kind of expressions and, some of them, you see that sadness, you see that disappointment.
Yeah.
Some of them feel very neglected by the society they once belonged to. They
Yeah.
feel betrayed. They
Mm.
feel like, oh, even though they are still alive, but it's as though they are not important.
Yeah.
It's as though that have been developed, things that have been created. It's not, oh, these people are old. So, let's create this stuff for children, for young people. But then in our design of intervention, in our design of engagement, it seems the elderly people are actually being excluded from those thought process in the implementation of those programming. So what
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing is the intentionality of facilitating engagement that help the elderly people to feel young again, to have a sense of
Yeah.
belonging, to feel included, to feel important, to feel that they belong to the community. I think that is what I am doing. But beyond working with the elderly people, also work with young people and on hospital admission, children in pediatric oncology in Lagos University Teaching Hospital. The hospital place can feel very lonely and feel very fearful, can feel very, very traumatic for people who are actually undergoing treatment,
Yeah.
right? So I imagine children who the only thing they grew up or they get to see every day is as somebody who's in a lab coat coming with stethoscope coming to inject them. It can be very, very traumatizing for children. But then how can we bring in positive energy? How do we change how children, how do we change how patients, how do we change how caregivers and family members feel about the environment in the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
It can be a welcoming and homely place
Yeah.
by introducing virtual reality engagement. And I see how they get to interact, I get how they become energized. I see how they become enthusiastic about life. I see how they become, how to find the missing sparks in their life that the sickness want to take away from them. I see all of that. So
Yeah.
um, the use of technology for health through what I do is helping to revive, to revitalize, and to restore
Mm.
health for people.
Yeah. I love what you're doing because you made 2 points. There's the age, the older generation, and then there's younger generation. And you tapped in, you really nailed it in the sense of where there's 2 parts. So I'm going to go with the first set where you talked about the using virtual reality for the elderly. They're feeling isolated, and what you're doing is actually giving them that chance to connect. It's like bringing technology into their front room to help them to see things in a different light. Because you're right. I think it's not just in Nigeria, but I think across the world as well. There's so many. The aged population are so isolated, and they need to be stimulated. And what you're doing is actually stimulating them and giving them a purpose, as you're saying, give them a way to sort of see beyond where they are to what is potentially possible. And I do love, because I know you mentioned not you but on your video it was more, or your on your website it's more of an individual interaction where the older generation is concerned. But I would love you to be able to spread it where we can get, hopefully you get funding or something where you can spread to a wider audience, the way they can come in within communities and use technology to impact and to change their perception, to help them to feel wanted again, I think, because they have so much to offer. Just because you're old does not mean that you're over. It's over for you. It's not. It's just the next stage in your life. And we need to respect it because one day we're all going to get old as
Old,
well.
old, old does not mean outdated. Being old does not mean outdated.
Very true.
Yeah,
Very
it
true.
doesn't. It doesn't mean
Indeed.
outdated. Yeah.
Indeed. And also then coming back to the younger generation, you talked about using to help in a way it's a distraction. So they have virtual reality to change, distract them from what the procedure, what the process is. Because sometimes you can be in hospital, you be in a hospital bed, yeah, you have your parents come every so, but when you have a different type of interaction, engagement, it stimulates you. And I love the fact that you said that they can listen to their favorite artists or watch movies or whatever. It's simple, but it's effective, and that to me is so important. That technology does have its place within the health sector. It has its place where therapeutic is concerned, where helping young people to go through that process so that it engage them in a different way, so that they don't have to ponder so much or think too much about this is the procedure I've got to go through because of this, because of whatever the ailments are. So I do applaud you for that. And people have acknowledged, and you see with the accolades and people's seeing you as someone who potentially can see vision. You're visionary in seeing how technology can change people's perception, or at least distract them from their norm. So why metaverse? Because I know that virtual reality, we talk, even some industries are still struggling to come to terms with. But I do love what you do, and I do take my hat off. Well, literally, but I do say well done because in Africa and Nigeria, you doing that. So why metaverse? Because why do you feel this is a way forward for you? Did you get funding to start it off, or are you sponsored by organizations or companies? Because we need more sponsors to enable you to be more impactful on a larger scale as well. So anyway, please do share with us.
Thank you so much for that. So there was a project I started earlier this year, I think late last year, called the Ask for Brain Health Project, which was actually funded by the Atlantic Institute and also by Alzheimer's Association UK, Alzheimer's Society, and also the Global Brain Health Institute. So the Ask for Brain Health project actually helped to introduce the aging population to the use of technology. So it's not just even about the virtual reality as well, where elderly people were being taught on how to use iPad to paint, to draw, to navigate, to create
Yeah,
expression.
yeah,
We
yeah,
over time now work with use canvases, we use paintbrushes, we use acrylic and all of that. But then in advanced country, things have been done differently. But even beyond that, we can bring in innovation into our engagement in a way that participants do not feel threatened by the materials they want to use. They feel
mm,
very comfortable, they feel very relaxed, they feel very welcome, they feel very, it's just ways of just like the way some of them play with their phone, their mobile phone, like you just press the buttons,
yeah,
and through that you can actually create works of art just
yeah,
by punching buttons, just by using your fingers to just make an impression, create an impression on the screen in a
yeah,
way that then your fingers don't get wet with paint, because now everything is digitalized, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that way, even every a mistake in that expression become a work of art, become a
yeah,
masterpiece,
of
right?
course.
So it's about just introducing them to these into this new activity or through technology in a way that it really helped to even improve their cognitive health and well-being as well. For
Mm,
me, like I said, over time we're used to just these traditional engagements. Let's go and draw. Let's go and paint. How can we do what we do differently? And for me, that's one of the things I That's one of the things that really prompted me to start doing what I do as an artist. When I graduated from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife in Nigeria, about 11 years ago. And when I finished my program, I asked myself, what will I do differently as an artist? So that's a question everybody need to ask themselves. You are an engineer, you are a doctor, you are this, you are that. What difference will you make in the world? It's not about what you do, it's about how you do what you do. And that is why, as an artist today, it's easier for me to say, Kunle Adewale is doing this. It's because what I'm doing differently, the difference I'm making through our skill. So the fusion of art and tech is a future of health.
100%.
The fusion of so the fusion of art and tech is a future of health and well-being. Because it's not just about somebody is sick and that you're just providing giving them injection pills and all of that. There are other ways through which people can get well, and they can have access to well-being as well. So for me, I just consider it as something that is very fundamental, something that is very important. This is something that some of the participants ordinarily probably will not have access to them by virtue of their social status or the economic status. Certain things feel like it's affordable for people because, like, oh, they have the money. What about people who can't afford it? So technology now has brought in that access where it makes it easier that somebody who does not have the economic power now can actually have access. So access is everything. Access
100%.
is very it's key. It's very jamming.
And technology enables that. It brings it to you, and I think it's so great. And I do love the idea that you're getting support from big companies or international NGOs who are supporting what you're doing, because we do need it. And it's quite ironic though, because you do it in Nigeria, but in some places even in the UK, we have organizations, and I'm not sure they use technology at the same level as you do. And so you're actually quite advanced, and as you quite rightly said, very innovative approach, because really technology is an enabler. It's not a way, it just supports, and it brings those traditional ways into a digital way and into the digital form. And what you've done is actually captured, you identify that, and you said, hold on a minute, I'm an artist. I like to see things, and also you understand the issues where health is concerned, and you know how to stimulate them, and you know what things will enable these people that your target audience. And to me, that's amazing, because you can't just it's not work for you. You have a passion for what you're doing, and that's showcased by what your deliveries are and your outcomes as well, because the outcomes must be humongous, not just for you, but for those people that you're providing that kind of support to. So I'm so grateful that you are doing this. So what would you, you're doing wonderful, wonderful work, and it has to be showcased. But what are the things that you feel could be done? How else do you think technology can be used in relation to well-being, and other aspects? Because I'm sure there are things that you would like to see change, and maybe it's just by speaking about technology, how it's impacting our society. And I just want you to give us some ideas of things, especially in Africa or in Nigeria, because even though we say they say that some part Africa is not as advanced as other, but in some places you're more advanced than other places, so-called first world. So we should not look at it in that way, because the way you're using technology in that environment is different from how we use it here. I'm not saying that not places they don't do it, but you're well advanced in what you're trying to achieve as well. So yeah. So what sort of things would you like to see happen?
For me, I would love to see, just based on the impact of the work I'm already doing. I remember like a few days ago when we went to the hospital for an engagement. So we met this elderly woman who is actually a matron in the hospital. And so she engaged us, and she told us that it's been 10 years she has seen her children who are actually abroad. And then so while she was talking, her eyes were teary. And I try to imagine the pain of a mother who has not seen her children for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they said, like, okay, where are your children? So I think she said the children are in the US and that she would love to go to Texas. So and I like, okay, you would love to go to Texas? Well, we are here. We can able to travel to Texas from here now. Say really? We say yes, you can travel to Texas. And then so what we did was to just help her travel through using the virtual reality.
Reality,
She
yeah.
traveled to Texas. And she was just shouting, wow, oh my God, wow, oh my God, wow, oh my God. The feeling of hopelessness, the feeling of that, oh, I've missed my children for a long time. And then to the time she wore the headsets, to the time she was seeing Texas, the landscape, the building, the cityscape, and everything, just seeing the environment where the children are actually living, even though she has not seen them. But just that bring love assurance. And she said, I can't wait to see my children. I know I'm going to see them one day. I've seen the environment where they live. I've seen Texas and all of that. So I'm looking forward to see the continuous use of technology, the way that it brings hope to people.
Mm.
It brings hope people, like brings assurance into their lives. It helps them to have a reason to stay alive, right? There are many people who are depressed and they are contemplating suicide, right? Today is October 3rd, and the next 7 days will be World Mental Health Day.
Mm.
People are committing suicide, even in Nigeria.
Mm.
So you spoke earlier on about technology being an enabler, right? So the technology can help people to escape the world of depression and give them that sense of hope,
Mm.
can give them the reason why they are important and they belong, to the society. They belong to the community. So I just want to see how that, and also the approach through people use for, care in Nigeria, right? For people
Yeah.
who are sick, like it's just about changing that mindset and thinking of new ways, new approaches, new interventions in creating an holistic, care for people, not just one approach as the
Mm.
way it is being done in Nigeria.
Of
And
course.
so thinking about multidisciplinary engagement where other disciplines play key roles and important in what you do as somebody who's a medical practitioner. So I want to see that. Also, even in education as well. I
Mm.
feel you can't take away the role of technology, in education, even with the virtual reality.
Mm.
Um, Education in terms of people who do not really have exposure, right?
Yeah.
I remember the day when we went to Makoko slum. Like Makoko slum is one of the largest slum in Africa, with over
Where's that?
400,000 people in Lagos. It's a
Oh,
slum
okay.
area. People are
All
living
right.
on the water. About 400, about 400,000 people are
Wow.
living on the water. And therefore, imagine what quality of life is for the children.
Yeah.
Imagine what
Yeah.
quality of life is for young people who do not really think that there's life outside the
Ah,
water. All they grow to
yeah.
see every day is fish. Young people, young girls can aspire. Many of them
Yeah.
get married early. Many of them are
Yeah.
getting pregnant. And but how can technology disrupt that mindset?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
can technology help them see that there's a world outside where they live?
Yeah.
So I have done a few sessions there where
Okay. It's good.
VR was used for them to engage and swim, connect to people outside the world, and have this meaningful experience and meaningful
Yeah.
engagement.
A taster.
So just for me, it's just very important that technology help to open the eyes of people from undeserved community, open
Yeah.
to their eyes to get possibilities of what they can become, what they can
Yeah.
achieve,
Indeed.
how they can thrive also in the society, regardless of their economic status.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Oh my gosh. I'm so proud of you. I'm so impressed with what you're doing, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity that you've come on my platform to talk about this. Because sometimes it's the simple things that make a difference. Yes, you're using technology as an enabler, but you're bringing hope, restoring hope. You're changing people's perception. You get them to think outside of the box. Hold on a minute. I didn't know about this, but hold on, look, it's actually possible. So they will start thinking in a different way that, oh, this all it is. That's all it is. But you're saying, no, 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 no. There are more opportunities than what you see right now, especially using the example of the big slum that you talked about in Lagos. Um, I can talk with you all day, and I'm so appreciative of what you're doing. And I really hope that people organizations, companies will, even within Nigeria, will look at what you're doing and support what you're doing. And what would you like to say? How would they get hold of you? Do you want to sort of like tell your website address or work or whatever you want from people briefly?
Very quickly, we're looking forward to more collaboration with individuals and institutions from around the world. Um, you can check out our work from Art in Medicine Project, Art in Medicine Project on Instagram, and also our website is www.artmedicineproject.org. Yeah, I think just through that channel, you can just get to connect with us, and then we look forward to making the world a better place together.
Indeed. Have you got contact details on your website as well that they can get hold of you?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
cool.
there is the email addresses there that people can actually get to reach out to us, and so that we can collaborate, in bringing hope and restoring hope to humanity, especially
It,
even this post-COVID, seeing what's still happening in the world even after COVID.
it,
There's so much still
mm,
going on. We just need to stand up in solidarity for humanity using
it,
technology.
100%. Well, thank you so much, Kunle. I thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for sharing what you're doing in Nigeria and how you're impacting not just the older generation, but also the younger generation, that those going through health issues, and how you use the tool technology to give them that escapism in so many ways. That's what you do. Even if it's just for a short period of time, it puts a smile on their face. And I think that's so important, because people need to smile again. We don't smile as much because the weight of life just weighs you down. But you're doing something wonderful and so visionary. I mean, I'm just so impressed. So thank you so much for sharing your journey, and thank you so much for what you're doing. And I really wish you all the best. And I really hope that many people, many companies will see what you're doing and sponsor and support what you're doing in however they see fit to support what you're doing, because you're doing a great job. Anyway, thank you. So again, this is Margaret Ajibode, the STEM Positive Disruptor. Um, on Mia's Conversation, I have my special guest, Kunle Adewale, and he's doing great work bringing technology and art, the creativity, the innovation of using that technology to improve people's well-being. That's an awesome experience, and you need to listen to this podcast. And if you find this interest, please subscribe to our channel and spread the word and share it to others as well. So again, this is a platform, we set this platform to educate, raise awareness, change people's perception, demystify what STEM is, that's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. We want to bring the public into our domain. We want to share the different roles within our industry, but also how technology, or STEM as a whole, is impacting our society in a positive way. And today, my special guest has shown how he's using virtual reality, augmented reality, to metaverse to help and bring that escapism for those people in hospital, but also for the older generation. So again, please listen to this podcast, because it's an enjoyable experience. I'm just so, see, I'm smiling. I enjoy the conversation. So thank you again.